Hey, peace. What's happening, everyone? On our deal with.
Ooh, yeah. Nah, nah, nah.
Suddenly there came a sound from heaven, as of a rushing mighty wind,
Like the rushing of a mighty wind. Like the rushing of a mighty wind. Come and fill our hearts again. Like the rushing of a mighty wind. Like a river that is overflow. Like a river that is overflow. Come and fill our hearts once more. Like a river that is overflow. Let it overflow. Let it overflow. Let it overflow. Let it over. Let it overflow. Let it overflow. Let it overflow. Let it over.
Yeah, blessings. Once again, you know the routine. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. All of that helps. So you don't know. Without any further ado, let's get started.
Okay, let me just play Trump for you. I'm going to give you the President Trump. Hang on.
African Americans built this nation. We built this nation. You know, you're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to get, you built the nation.
So there you go, bro. The founding father said the same thing. Let's go back to the Constitution.
I think you cut the video short. I think right after that he said we all built this nation. And you have to remember that he's a politician and he's in a room full of African Americans and he's saying what they want to hear, but he's being a politician. But more specifically, I think where you cut that video right after that, he said we all built this country, and that's my issue. No. Let me just finish. Let me just say this. My position is that we all built this country, but I think FBA wants to have some type of special acknowledgement, to be put in a special position where, without them, there would be no America. And I totally disagree with that. I think, again, America was built after the Civil War and after slavery ended. And I think the ideals of America really has nothing to do with slavery.
Yeah, even Trump, after that part, he goes, you guys, you slaves as slaves were critical to the building of America. Notice he didn't say immigrants were critical to the building of America. Let me just play it through to the end. I'll play the whole thing.
He said we all built this country.
Yeah, but you guys played a critical role. Let me just play it through. It's only 24 seconds. Here we go.
Sure.
African Americans built this nation. We built this nation. You know, you're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to get, you built the nation. We all built it. But you were such a massive part of it, bigger than you were given credit for. Does that make sense? Right?
Massive. You can't build America with that massive piece missing. Notice he didn't say immigrants were a massive part. No. He said we were a massive part. You can't build something if you're missing the massive part, the critical part, the overwhelming majority part. That's what massive, when I say, man, that was massive. That is humongous. So you can't build America without that. So my point stands. Without us, there's no America. Even he admitted, not only did we build America, but we played a massive role, which I agree. But go ahead.
Yeah, but just because FBA had a massive role doesn't mean anyone else didn't have a massive role. And I think that's his audience. His audience is speaking to African Americans. If he was in a room of immigrants, he would say immigrants did a massive part in the building as well. So again, I think Trump is being a politician. He's being a good politician because I think that's what helped him to garner a much bigger percentage of the Black American vote than any other Republican in history. But I just think he's being a good politician. And the fact that he says y'all had a massive role doesn't mean that he's taken away from the massive role that anybody else had. And I think that can be said of any of the different portions of American society in terms of creating or building America.
Okay, this is where I disagree with you. If we got a cake in front of us and I take a massive slice of cake, like, holy cow, that slice was massive. I'm going to have to say that the rest is just crumbs. Like, there can't be two massive, I mean, I guess you can twist it, say that's a massive part. And, you know, if I ate half and you ate half, those would both be massive. So I'll give you the twisting of that. But this is, let me just push it further to show we built America. America was built in 1790s, actually 1789. That was America. Done. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, the 3 levels of government, the presidency, the Congress, the Supreme Court, all of that was done by 1790. So 1790 was the end of the building of America. America was already built. 13 colonies, all slave owning. The dominant state of all 13 was Virginia, ran by slaves, right? Virginia was the foundation of the 13 colonies, bar none. Like, the North didn't even matter. Without Virginia, they will tell you, without Virginia, there's no United States, because Virginia had the biggest population and the most like the first 5 presidents, 4 were from Virginia. It's called the Virginia dynasty, right? And so, what you're saying, it just doesn't pan out, man. America was built in 1790.
Come on now. Now, in 70, you said there were only, 13 states? America today is 51 states. For you to say, hold on, 13 colonies, they weren't even states at that time. So, and today, America is 51 states. Those 13 colonies became 13 states. Today, America is 51 states. So for you to say America was done building when it had 13 and now it has 51, I think that's ludicrous. But let me ask you this question. Would you say Europeans had a massive role in building America?
Well, hang on. America was literally, look at the 1790 citizenship for white people. It said the United States of America. It was over. America was built in 1790. It didn't matter if we didn't add a single other state. America had already existed in 1790. It didn't matter if we added the Midwest or the West. The America was already done. Like, even if we did not add the Midwest or the West, America was already built literally in 1790. That's why it says the citizen clause for white people. Only free white men of good standing could be a citizen in the United States of America. When did
blacks become citizens?
1868.
But you said so that has nothing. So then, how would America have been built in 1790 and black? So you're saying the building of America has everything to do with just when y'all were slaves?
Yeah, well, no, that's just a fact. 1790, America was.
So the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment has nothing to do with the building of it. Wasn't a part of the building of America.
No. America was done in 1790. Literally, actually.
So you're saying the 14th Amendment and all of those amendments that came after the Civil War, which granted black people all of their rights, you're saying none of that, America could be America without any of that?
Yeah, it was already America, bro. It's not could be. 1790, it was the United States of America. Actually, 1789, we had the 3 levels of government, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. It was done. What they did was add on more states to America.
But if you're adding on, you're still building, bro. No.
America's
that's like me saying, hold on. If I'm building a house and I build 3 rooms, and then I say, okay, my house is done being built, but then I continue building rooms. How's my house done, but I'm still building rooms onto it? That doesn't make sense.
It does make sense because you're saying it wrong. See, America is the federal government, okay? That's what America is, literally the federal government. The Constitution, the Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, 3 levels of government, president, the Congress, the Supreme Court, Washington, D.C. That's America. If you take away Washington, D.C., there's no America. Even today, 51 states. Take away the federal government, and all 51 states now become independent nations. What makes everything come together as one is the federal government, Washington, D.C. 1790, it was over. It was built. America was done. It was over. Everything else is inconsequential. Even today, if you take away the federal government, what happens? Every state is now an independent nation. The only thing, literally, I'm saying literally, the only thing that makes all 51 states part of a nation is the federal government. Without the federal government, every state has to rely on their own government, the state government, which would mean they would be independent nations, just like the 13 colonies were essentially independent nations, right? And what brought them together was the federal government. That was completed in 1790.
Tariq Nasheed says, if you can trace your heritage back to, I think he said the 1870 census, then you're foundational, right? Yeah. But if you can trace yourself back to 1870, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can trace yourself back to 1790, right? Because because your ancestors could have came here in 1820. Right. So if that's true, then half of the people like yourself that are claiming to be foundational, y'all would have came after 1790 when America was already built. And so half of the FBA people, y'all can't claim to be foundational if you're only going back to 1870 and you're saying America was done being built in 1790, then how are y'all foundational?
Who built America up to that point? Slaves. Where do we come from?
No, I disagree with that. I don't think slaves built. Okay. I believe, I don't think slaves, I always use the analogy that I think, because if you remember, slaves were treated like animals. So slaves were treated like animals on a farm. And I don't see where you can say the animals on a farm built the farm. It just doesn't make sense to me. The people building the farm are the people that has the animals doing what they want the animals to do. And to say the animals are the ones that built the farm, it's just silly to me. And the only reason I'm using the analogy is because slaves are treated like animals. And that's what it means to be a slave, is that you're not even seen as a human being. So, to say that people who were not seen as human beings built this country, that just doesn't, or had more of a role than anyone else. That just doesn't mesh for me. It doesn't make much sense to me.
Okay, hang on. Let me play Senator Tom Cotton. He's going to tell you what the founding fathers said. We're going to go to forget Trump. Let's go to the founding fathers. This is Senator Tom Cotton, a white Republican. Look what he was forced to say about slavery. Here we go.
Otherwise, we can't understand our country. As the founding fathers said, it was the necessary evil upon which the Union was built. But the Union was built in a way.
Slavery was the necessary evil to build America. One more time.
And our country.
Listen.
As the founding fathers said, it was the necessary evil upon which the Union was built.
We built America. I mean, whether we talk about Trump or the founding fathers, it was the necessary evil.
No, they didn't say y'all built. It says it was if we're going to listen to what it said, it says it was the evil upon which the Union was built. That doesn't mean y'all built it.
Yeah, I agree.
Hold on. That could mean that it was that means that it was the founding fathers that built it using slavery. That doesn't mean what you're saying. What that quote does not mean that slaves built the country. Saying that slavery is the evil upon which it was built, what that means is the slave owners built America on that evil. So it doesn't necessarily even equate to what you're trying to make it equate to.
Yeah, well, it does. Listen to it one more time. The foundation, the foundational Black Americans, right? Listen, this is foundational. Listen one more time.
We can't understand our country. As the founding fathers said, it was the necessary evil upon which the Union was built.
That's the foundation right there. The necessary evil upon which the Union was built. That's foundational Black Americans. I don't go by that moniker. I go by American. We are the only Americans. But that's foundational. When you say,
why don't you include the Irish that also be slaves to United States also. The Irish never really get it good in Europe. They slaved them down to the United States also. Why don't you include the Scottish? They also be slaved down to United States also. Why also don't you include also the Native Americans that will actually be exterminated? So what she's saying is that things happened, not just only to the Black Americans alone. He's grouping a lot of people that also be slaves. White slaves, Native American slaves, the one that dealt with and everything. That's what it means. You just want to twist it to be foundational. Well, whatever I put to you put there, only you do want to explain it. I'm just listening.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good question, I think. Do you consider the Irish that were indentured servants, the Native Indians who were enslaved before you guys? Do you consider them to also be foundational?
No, our dear brother, the African guy,
Ola.
Ola. When you said the Irish and the Scottish were slaves, that's simply a lie. They were indentured servants for 4 to 7 years. After that, they got free land, they got guns, and all that other stuff. No historian would tell you the Irish and the Scottish were slaves. No, not one historian from
They
America
worked alongside the slaves. They shared the
but
slave
he didn't
quarters.
say that. He said
Some
they
of
were
them-
slaves.
But I'm saying
He
that.
said
But
they
I'm
were
saying
slaves.
that. But they were they were
I'm going by
treated
what he
like
said.
slaves. But they were treated like slaves. They did the same type of labor that the slaves did. The only thing is they just had a different title for them. But they did the same type of labor. They lived in the same type of slave quarter. They lived in the slave quarters with them. So why? Okay, so I don't understand why they wouldn't be just as foundational, because they're doing the work. The Indians themselves were enslaved. So speak to just the Indians. Why aren't the Native Indians who were enslaved by the same white folks to do the same work that y'all were doing? Why aren't they foundational?
Well, hang on. The Irish and the Scottish were not slaves. Every historian would tell you. Every historian in America.
But we're
I don't
past
care,
that. We're
Harvard,
past
Yale,
that,
Prince,
USA.
none of them would say what you're saying, that they were slaves. They were not slaves. They were
I didn't
indentured
say they were
servants.
slaves. They were indentured servants who were doing the same labor that the slaves did, who lived among and the only reason they were called indentured servants and not slaves is just as a technicality, because they were slaves for a short period of time, so they were indentured servants. But it's the same work that they were doing. But again, you're not speaking to the question I'm asking you. Just speak to Native
I'm going to
Indians.
answer that.
Why aren't they
answer.
foundational like you guys? Granted that they were slaves, why aren't they as foundational as you are?
Okay, hang on. Show me the Irish or the Scottish that were sold on auction blocks along with their wives and kids, their progeny. Show me one case that they sold Irish and Scottish people along with their wives and their kids, sold them like cattle. Show me one example.
But when y'all say y'all are foundational, the reason you say you're foundational is because of the labor, not because of how you were sold or whether you were indentured and you were just arrested so you had to do the labor. The reason y'all say you're foundational is because of the labor, and those indentured servants also did the labor. So I don't even see the point you're making by saying that, oh, because they weren't sold on slave blocks, that doesn't make them foundational. What does that have to do with it? What matters is the labor.
I want you to listen very, very carefully.
Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. Speak of righteousness, they say we are praise. Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. Speak of righteousness, they say we are praise. Brought us from the motherland in bondage and chains. Bury our culture and change our names. They claim we're free, yet we are in pain. As long as there's life, there's a lot to gain. Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. Speak of righteousness, they say we are praise. Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. Speak of righteousness, they say we are praise. When God spoke his words, they said he was deranged. Marley sung his songs, they said the same. Malcolm X and Martin Luther fought relentlessly so we could be better. Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. Speak of righteousness, they say we are praise. Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. Speak of righteousness, they say we are praise. Brought us from the motherland in bondage and chains. Bury our culture and change our names. They claim we're free, yet we are in pain. As long as there's life, there's a lot to gain. Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. Speak of righteousness, they say we are praise. Just because we're black, they say we are slaves. Speak of righteousness, they say we are praise.